I'm standing in my backyard right now, staring at a pile of trash that just made me a small fortune. And I still don't fully understand how that even makes sense. A week ago, I almost threw all of this out, like straight into a dumpster. But now I'm looking at it like it might be the reason I just accidentally changed my entire life. Let me rewind. Because it started with the cheapest house I could find in the city. Not budget-friendly. Not fixer-upper. I'm talking bottom-of-the-barrel, nobody wanted it, been on the market too long type house. The kind of place people drive past and say, "Yeah, I wouldn't live there." Which, honestly, is exactly why I bought it. I didn't have much money. Just enough to get something nobody else cared about. My plan was simple. Flip it, fix it, maybe make a small profit. Nothing crazy. Just a step forward. But the moment I walked inside for the first time, something felt off. Not creepy, not haunted movie stuff. More like abandoned on purpose. Furniture still there, dust everywhere, boxes stacked like someone left in a hurry and never came back. And in the corner of the living room, old crates, full of random junk. Books, metal pieces, broken tools, old frames, stuff that looked completely worthless. I remember thinking, yeah, this is going to be a long cleanup. So I did what anyone would do. I started clearing it out. Most of it went straight into throwaway piles. Until I noticed one thing. Some of the objects didn't look cheap. They just looked forgotten. And that's when I made my first mistake. I almost threw away something I didn't understand. And that changed everything.
The next day, I came back with trash bags, gloves, and zero expectations. My plan was simple: clear everything out, clean the place, and get it ready for basic renovation. Nothing emotional, nothing deep, just work. But the more I dug through the stuff inside that house, the more it started to feel weird. Not in a scary way, in a, why does this feel like someone collected this on purpose way? There were boxes full of old objects. Some were clearly junk, broken electronics, rusty tools, random cables. But mixed in with all of that were things that didn't fit. Handmade wooden items that looked old but well crafted. Small metal pieces with strange engravings. Books that looked ancient but not mass-produced. At first, I laughed it off. Probably just random garbage from different owners over time. So I kept going. By the afternoon, I had a huge pile ready for disposal. And I remember standing there, sweaty, tired, looking at it like, yeah, this is all trash, no question. I even started dragging the first bags toward the curb. But then I stopped, because one object fell out of a broken box. It was small, heavy for its size, and it didn't look like something you just throw away. I picked it up, turned it in my hand, and thought, what even is this supposed to be? No label, no obvious purpose, just old, detailed craftsmanship. And for some reason, I didn't toss it. I put it back on the porch instead of the trash pile. Didn't think much of it at the time. But that one decision, that was the first moment everything in this story quietly changed direction.
That night, I couldn't stop thinking about that thing, which is stupid because it wasn't even impressive. Just an old piece of metal and wood with weird markings on it. But something about it kept bugging me. So I did what any normal person would do. I Googled it. At first, nothing came up. Then I tried different keywords, different angles, different descriptions. Still nothing useful. And that's when I got curious instead of tired. Because if something is too specific to show up easily online, it usually means one of two things. It's either worthless or it's not commonly known. I went back to the house the next day earlier than planned. This time, I wasn't just cleaning. I was looking, really looking. I started separating things instead of just tossing them. And that's when I noticed a pattern. Some of the items weren't random at all. They looked like they belonged to the same set. Same material, same style, same kind of markings. Like someone didn't just leave junk behind, they left pieces of something bigger. I sat on the floor of that half-empty house thinking, okay, either I'm losing it or this place has a story. So I made a decision. I stopped throwing things away, and instead, I packed everything questionable into boxes. That night, I took photos of everything and posted them in a few online forums, just asking, does anyone know what these are? Didn't expect much. Maybe one reply, maybe nothing. But a few hours later, my phone started lighting up.
At first, it was just a couple replies. People guessing, joking, saying stuff like probably old garage junk or just scrap metal. And I almost believed them. Almost. But then one comment changed the tone completely. It wasn't a joke. It said, "Don't throw any of that away. That's not random." I stared at that message like, okay, what does that even mean? Then more replies started coming in. Different people, same reaction. Confusion, curiosity. Some of them asking for closer photos, others telling me to check markings more carefully. One guy even DM'd me and said he had seen similar craftsmanship in historical collections. That word hit me weird. Historical. Because up until that moment, I was treating everything like trash from a forgotten house. But now it was starting to feel like something else entirely. So I went back inside the house again, this time with gloves off and full focus. I started laying everything out on the floor, piece by piece, and the more I organized it, the more obvious it became. This wasn't random storage. It was curated, like someone intentionally kept these things together, and then forgot them, or left them behind on purpose. That thought made my stomach feel weird, because if that was true, then this cheap house wasn't just cheap, it was hiding something. I took more pictures and sent them to the guy who messaged me, and his reply came fast, way too fast. He said, "Where exactly did you get this from?" And that's when I realized I might have just stumbled into something I absolutely did not understand yet. I told him about the house, the location, the price, everything, and the moment I hit send, I kind of regretted it. Because now it felt real in a different way. Not just random junk I found in a cheap house real, but people are actually interested in this real. He didn't reply for like 10 minutes, which felt like forever. Then finally, "You need to be careful with this." That was it. No explanation, no context, just that. And now my brain is spiraling. Careful how? With what exactly? So I ask him straight up, and he responds, "These items aren't common. They might be part of a private collection or something historically significant." I just sit there staring at my phone like, bro, I bought a house, not a mystery box. But at that point, I wasn't laughing anymore. I went back to the pile inside the house and started looking at everything again. Same objects, same room, same trash I almost threw away. But now it didn't look like trash. It looked intentional, like every piece had been placed there for a reason. That night, I didn't sleep. I just kept searching. Forums, articles, random collector sites, anything that matched even one detail. And slowly, pieces started connecting. Not fully, but enough to make me realize something important. This wasn't just old junk. It was part of something bigger that people actually care about. And if that was true, then I wasn't just cleaning out a cheap house anymore. I was standing inside something that might actually have hidden value, real value, and I had almost thrown it all away. The next morning, I stopped treating this like curiosity. Now it was serious. I went back to the house with a completely different mindset. No more cleaning, no more trash pile. Now I was careful, slow, intentional. Like I was handling something I didn't fully understand yet. I started going through every corner again. But this time, I wasn't just looking at objects. I was looking for context. Where they were stored, how they were grouped, what was placed near what. And that's when I noticed something that made me pause. There was a section of the house, an old storage room in the back, that I barely touched before. It was packed tighter than the rest. Boxes stacked in a way that didn't look random. Almost organized. I cleared space and opened the first box. Inside were more of the same items. But now there were also documents. Old papers. Handwritten notes. Some faded labels. And one thing stood out immediately. A repeated name. Over and over again. Same initials. Same marking. Same handwriting style. I sat there holding one of the papers thinking, okay, this isn't just storage. This is tied to a person. And that changed everything. Because now it wasn't about finding value anymore. It was about figuring out what this actually was. I took photos of everything and sent them back to the guy online. This time his reply wasn't quick. It took longer than before. And when it finally came, it was only one line. Don't sell anything yet. You might be sitting on something rare. That line hit me harder than I expected. Because up until that moment, I was still thinking like someone who bought a cheap house. But now I was thinking like someone who might have accidentally stepped into something way bigger than a real estate deal.
I didn't sell anything, not one piece, even though part of me really wanted to, because I still didn't fully understand what I had. But I understood enough to know this wasn't normal. So I did the only thing that made sense. I brought in someone who actually knew what they were looking at. A local antique appraiser, the guy from the forum recommended. When he walked into the house, he didn't say much at first, just looked around, quiet, observing. And I remember thinking, all right, here we go. He's going to tell me it's all junk. But then he started picking things up, one by one. Long pauses between each object, getting quieter instead of more dismissive. That's when my stomach started tightening, because his reaction wasn't, this is worthless. It was the opposite, confusion mixed with interest. Finally, he stops at the table and says, where did you get all of this? Same question, different tone. I explain everything again. Cheap house, boxes, almost threw it away. And he just nods slowly, like he's processing something bigger than me. Then he says, these are not random items. Pause. They belong to a very specific collection style, possibly tied to an old private set. Some of these could be worth far more than you think. I just stand there like, you're serious? And he looks at me and goes, I am. That's when it fully hits me. I didn't just buy a cheap house. I bought something nobody else bothered to look through properly. After he left, I sat in that empty house for a long time. Same walls, same floor, same boxes. But everything felt different now, because the trash I almost threw away was actually opportunity I didn't recognize yet. And months later, after selling and documenting everything properly, I realized something simple but crazy. Most people don't miss value because it's hidden. They miss it because they don't look twice. And I almost did the same thing.
Before you go, hit that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable stories just like this one. See you in the next story.